Assalamu alaikum. Myself Akam Ansari. Student, I am back again with yet another video lecture of advanced web designing. In this particular video lecture, I will be talking about some new features and application of CSS. In our previous lecture, we have seen what is CSS and how CSS can change the world of web technology and web application. CSS mostly used for designing purpose of a website, and it create a very attractive web pages. We have to use CSS properties to make our website very good and very attractive. So we have already started CSS. Now we are moving towards some types of CSS. In my first lecture of CSS, I have told you that CSS is categorized on the basis of how CSS can apply on our HTML page. Means CSS is a different language and HTML is a different language, but both collectively work and create a very good website. But we can collect or we can combine CSS and HTML in three ways. One way is called as a inline CSS, means we directly put our CSS into HTML elements by using style as an attribute. Then we have seen what is internal CSS. So internal CSS is the way of applying CSS into the HTML page by using style as a tag or style as an element inside the head tag of HTML page. Means we put style tag inside the head tag of HTML page and we apply CSS by using that. The last one is our external style sheet, that is our separate style sheet. Means in the third one, or in the external style sheet, as the name suggests, it's an external, means it is not inside the HTML page. The first two types, that is inline and internal, is belongs to HTML page only, but the third one is, that is external style sheet, is an external file we have to create. We have to create a separate file, then we have to connect HTML page and our CSS to apply the changes given by the CSS. That's why it's called external CSS, because we are going to create CSS file externally, then we will connect both the file, means HTML file and CSS file. So there is a connector called link tag. So we will put link tag inside the HTML head section, and we have different attribute for link tag which shows which file you are going to connect, what is the type of file, and what is the relationship. Means this thing we will get by using some attribute called link tag attribute. So the simple thing is that we are going to create an HTML page, then we will create external CSS file, we will write some line of code inside the CSS, means we will apply some CSS, we will add some effect to our HTML page by using CSS, then we will connect both the pages by using link tag. So you will get what is the effect of. Okay, so we have to create a simple HTML file, then we have to add some HTML tags and attribute. After that we have to apply external CSS, means after that we will create a simple external CSS, then we will connect by using link tag. Let's have a look what we are going to learn today by using PowerPoint presentation. So I have created this presentation for you. Okay, so our chapter name is advanced web designing. Our topic is external CSS. Okay, now let's have a look what is external CSS. An external CSS or style sheet is a separate file. Okay, external means is a separate file linked to HTML web page, means which HTML web page in which you are going to apply your CSS. Means we have an HTML page. In that page we have a number of HTML tags and attributes and many things we have on that particular page, and we have connected this page to external CSS. And what is external CSS? External CSS is again a separate file in which we will write all the CSS rules and regulations, means CSS attributes, CSS properties and value, and we will link. And one important thing regarding your examination, the CSS file can be saved with the extension .css. Okay, like HTML file can be saved by the using .html extension, and CSS file is a .css extension. Okay, Now let's have a look what external file have, that is link tag. Okay, link tag is used to connect our CSS file and our HTML file. CSS file is our external CSS and HTML file is our file in which we are going to apply our CSS. So we have two files, one is HTML file and one is CSS file. Both the file are separate file. Now by using link tag we have to connect, we have to relate both the file. So to connect our external CSS with our HTML we have a link tag, and link tag have three important attributes. Okay, the first one, there is no sequence, you can use as a rel first or href first or type first, but we have three important attributes. The type attribute shows that which type of file you are going to connect. Okay, the link tag have three attributes. One is type, one is rel, that is relationship, and one is href, that is a hyper reference. Okay, so the type attribute of link tag is used to specify which type of file you are going to connect. So our type of the file is text/css. Okay, means we are going to add CSS file. So in that CSS file we have written some text, so you have to write text/css. Then what type of relationship you have with this file, means this link tag will be available inside the HTML page, and now your browser is asking which type of relationship you have with the another file, that is your CSS file. So it's a style sheet relationship, the style sheet. Then the last one is a href. Href means the hyperreference, means the address or path of the file or external file which you are going to connect. Okay, so these are three basic attributes of link tag which is used to connect our CSS file with our HTML. So it is very clear that first we have to create two files. One is HTML file, will add all the required HTML tags, and now the second thing is that we have to apply CSS. So we will apply CSS, but that CSS or that rules and regulation or property and value will write inside the separate file. That separate file will called as a external CSS. So I am going to start my notepad to create simple HTML page. So I will write notepad. This is my notepad application in which I am going to write HTML code. So the first line of HTML5 is doc type, and what is the doc type is a HTML. This line shows that you are writing code inside the HTML file. Then HTML and closing HTML, I am writing most of the time the opening and closing tag at the same time. It's a good practice to write code. Then head tag, okay, and closing head tag I am writing at the same time. Then body tag, the most important tag of your HTML page. Whatever you write between these opening and closing body tag, it will display on your browser. Now we have written all basic HTML tags. Now this is the main tag of your HTML page. I am going to add one heading, that is I will use h1 tag and closing h1. Okay, inside that I am going to write welcome to external CSS. Okay, now I am going to add one more tag, that is a p tag, and inside p tag I will add something. We have to create separate file for external CSS. Then I am going to add one more paragraph, that is a p tag, and inside that p tag I will write external CSS. Okay, external CSS must be saved with dot css extension. Okay, now when I save the file, I am going to save by using my test.html. okay, test.html, it's my HTML file, so I have saved it .html file. I just want to show the output of this file which we have just created. So I will just double click on this. You will get this. This is a bold because I am using h1 tag. Then we have used 2p tag. We have to create this separate file for external CSS, and external CSS must be set with .css extension. I have added 3 HTML tags. Okay, now I am going to add CSS. First, I want to show you by using internal CSS, which we have already learned in number of the lecture. Okay, so first thing, I will add style. Yet now I have not used any external CSS, then closing style. Okay, this is the way which I add CSS in our HTML page. This is the inline style, sorry, this is internal style sheet. So if I want to apply something on h1, I will simply write h1 and this curly bracket, then I will apply some properties and value. So I want to change the background color, so I will write background color, so I will assign some value called red, then semicolon. At the end of the property we have to write semicolon. Then I will add one more, color colon red. I am going to assign orange, red and blue. I am going to assign orange and red will be mixed up. Okay, then I am going to assign one more to paragraph tag. So we have 2 paragraph tag. If I write only p, so it will apply on the both the paragraph tag, but I want to apply only on the first one. That is we have to create separate files. So if you want to apply individually, uniquely, you have to assign one attribute, that is a ID. So I will write ID equal to, you can assign any value, for example my ID you have written. So here you have to write my ID, but before ID you have to use symbol called as a hash symbol. So my ID, then opening and closing curly bracket, inside that I will going to use color attribute. This color of the text will be, for example, green. I just want to show what is output. Flip back to your browser. This is your browser. Now when you refresh, it will show you the effect given by the, see, the first one, the background color has been changed to red and the text color is blue, and the in first P we have text color as a green, but the second paragraph is the normal, that is a black. We have not applied any CSS. Okay, the default color is a black. Now we have done our HTML thing by using internal CSS, but the same thing we can do by using external CSS. The only thing is that we have to create a separate file for external CSS, and all the CSS content, or all the part which is belongs to CSS. So if you notice that this 2 line belongs to CSS. Okay, only if you notice this page, the HTML page, test.html page, only these 2 lines belongs to CSS. Why? Because this is HTML tag. Style is a HTML tag. This is not a HTML content. H1 my ID and these 2 lines is not belongs to HTML, but style tag is belongs to HTML. But style tag is used to, okay, it helps to insert CSS in your HTML page, but style is itself an HTML tag. Okay, so the only 2 line is belongs to CSS, that is a h1 means this 2 line, h1 and its property, and my ID and its property. So student, are you getting my point? In this HTML page only these 2 line is belongs to CSS, so I will just remove these 2 line and put inside the external CSS. Are you getting my point? these two line is belongs to CSS part, rest of these two line is belongs to HTML part. So I will not touch HTML part because I have to create external CSS, and in external CSS we have to have only CSS content, not HTML content. Means in external file we don't have any HTML tag, even style tag we don't have in that particular separate file, because style tag is an HTML tag which is used to insert CSS, okay, but it is not part of CSS. So part of CSS is these two lines, means we have written properties and value in this. So we have to remove these two line. So instead of remove, I will just cut it because I have to paste over external CSS. So I will cut Control X and I will go back and create one more file, that is external CSS file. Okay, see, I have just cut it from there and I have pasted over here. Okay, so this is my property, this is my CSS, and I will save it. Okay, I will save it any name. For example, I am going to save as a style.css, and now I am creating external file, so my extension will be .css. So the name of file is like style. You can write any, okay, you can write any name. For example, my file name is kms.css, but the extension will be css. So kms.css is your external file. Okay, now we have two files. Okay, now you have two files. One is kms.css and one is test.html. Okay, one is kms.css and one is test.html. So the kms.css is your external CSS and test.html is your HTML file. Now you have to connect both the file. Okay, you have to connect both the file. Remove this. Okay, because we don't require this HTML tag, because we are not going to insert CSS by using internal. Okay, so I don't require this. If you save this file, okay, and when you flip back to your browser, okay, when you refresh this, okay, now you will notice that the effect will be disappear because we have removed our CSS. Okay, now it's your simple HTML page because we have separated CSS into the separate file. Means currently in our HTML file we don't have anything, means related to CSS. Now we have one simple HTML file and another file we have, that is our CSS file. See, kms.css, when you open it in the notepad, okay, now we have kms.css file in which we have written two style. One is on h1 and one is on my IDs and paragraph ID. Okay, now we have to link both the file. Okay, we have to link both the file. Which file? We have to link test.html and kms.css. We have to link both the files. So to link us external CSS, we have a tag called link tag. Yes or no? We have a link tag. So inside head tag only we have to add link tag. So I will add link tag, and we have seen we have three attribute of link tag. What is the name of attribute? One is type, one is rel, and one is href. Okay, then the value for type is a text CSS, and what is the rel? That is a relationship style. So these two values are compulsory or fixed. The only thing is that href means inside that you have to write the path of your external CSS file. So just go back in your notepad and add href. Href equal to, if your file and your external file at the same position, you can directly put your name. So the name is kms.css. It's a href. Then you have a relationship, that is rel equal to, you have to write style sheet. Okay, and the last one we have attribute, that is a type equals to, you have to write text/css. Okay, now you have added this link tag in which we have given a reference that you have to connect kms.css. Why it will connect or why it will link? Because in kms.css we have written some CSS rule which will apply on this HTML page. So when you click on save, okay, now the link has been created with your external file. If you want to show the output, okay, refresh this. Okay, now the color has been changed to green. And now if you move back to your external file, okay, close it. See, when you go and open your external file, that is your CSS file, and change the color, okay, color equal to green to your paragraph. Now I am going to change the color as a yellow. Okay, so when you change it to yellow, just save it. Means you are changing in external file. This is my external file, external CSS. You are changing in external file and you will see the result in your HTML. When you open HTML, you will notice that the color has been changed to yellow. Okay, currently the background is red. Now when you go and change in your external file, there is a red. You can give as a yellow. Means you can assign any color. Okay, currently it's red. When you click on refresh, the color will be yellow. Okay student, now we have completed our external CSS part. So the basic thing is that we have to write our CSS in separate file. Means first we have to create HTML page, then we have to apply CSS, but the content of CSS will be in separate file. There is no HTML tag. Okay, the external CSS file is a purely CSS file. Okay, there is no single tag in CSS file, only your properties and values, selector properties and value, or IDs properties and value. Okay, hope you could understand what we have learned today, what I explained today. If you have any question in external CSS or whatever we have learned till now, please feel free to post your comment, post your query. Inshallah, I will try to explain you each and everything. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.